Ora si registrerà la conferenza.
Okay. Okay. Good morning to everyone. So I'm going to keep you busy for the next 30 minutes explaining what's the difference between the magnetic mallet technology and the autotome handpiece. At the end of this webinar, I guarantee you that it's going to be very clear the difference, and it's basically a no-brainer to explain the decision for a doctor between these two devices because it's very evident. Now, we need to keep it very simple. We can talk for hours and hours and hours about extractions. We can have many digressions to a number of different aspects, but we need to keep it simple. So at the end of the day, we're just trying to sell a $4,000 device. And the distinction, clear distinction, is on effectiveness. The magnetic mallet is immensely more powerful and effective and accurate for versus the autotome. And more than that, it's also much more precise because the magnetic mallet, with the magnetic mallet, you can change, adjust the level of power that you're using. Now, even if we don't really know the way the extraction works, but we can think that logically we have many different teeth in our mouth, and extracting a third molar is not like extracting a canine or an ankylosed anterior tooth, right? Or single-rooted, multi-rooted. So there's a variety of different extractions that doctors have to do, and being the extraction based on the force that you apply and the way they do it, you do it. Of course, you need different forces to be precise, and that is something that the magnetic mallet allows to do. So much more effective, more controlled, and more precise. Why that? Because the magnetic mallet is a technology. It's a patented patent of invention, okay, technology. It's very advanced. It is electromagnetic powered versus the autotone, which is basically an electric tool. So it's a, you all have seen it. It's a handpiece that you connect to the dental chair, and instead of tapping manually, you have an electric movement. But that has nothing to do with what is the electromagnetic technology, which is based on delivering a very strong impact in a very limited fraction of time, which is why we got the patent. It's very strong and gentle at the same time. And as you can see on this slide, there's nothing new under the sun. What you see here on the left side, it's called TOC system. That was another extraction device that is being invented in Italy. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with us. We keep inventing extraction devices, and that was developed, I believe, in the late 90s, and it's basically the autotome. Also, the autotome is very old. You probably know the story of that. It was a company in Portland, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, that developed this, and then basically the company went busted because there was no sales. And from what I understood, Salvant bought the rights and they relaunched it. But we're talking about a device that has been launched in the market and has failed. And for what concerns Europe, the same. Launched in the market and then failed because of the magnetic mallet. Because it made no sense for a doctor to buy this kind of technology when for a little bit higher cost, they could have a completely different technology. I mean, that's the difference between the fax machine and the smartphone. Now, if you want another confirmation of this, look on the right. Who is this company? This is Antogy, France. Uh, it's a pretty well-known implant company. They also do handpieces and stuff. They work with Montblanc. And they also made an automatic extractor and osteotomes. And then because of the mallet, and because not only because of the mallet, because when you try to do these things electrically, it's not very effective. It's not strong. Patients feel it, perceive it. So they decided to stop the production of that handpiece, and they converted it into a crown remover. Hmm? So that's two exactly similar device to the autotome that have been launched into the market before the autotome, and they're already out. And then there is a third one. What is this? This is a vacuum. So the same technology that it's used on the autotome, it's been adapted by Henry Schein. Well, actually, it's another company. It's IM3, but it's sold in America through Henry Schein to do extractions on the animals. Hmm? And still, it's about $3,000. That's a little bit more accurate because it's not powered by the dental chair. There's no dental chairs on for vet. So there is this unit, and it's a bit faster, which means a bit more effective than the autotome. But again, that's all you can do with that kind of technology. Hmm? So what we are looking at today is nothing new under the sun. We have already seen this antecedent technology in the market, and they're no longer there. First, because they're not effective. There's not a big change between extracting the tooth with the forceps and the drills and the elevators and using a basic technology. Hmm? Now, this is important to understand why the adjustable power in extraction is so detrimental. So why we say that if you want to keep it simple, we just need to tell doctor, magnetic mallet is powerful. The autotome, it's not when you compare. Because adjustable power means that it is effective, it's controlled, it's fast. That's what you get when the power that you apply to do an extraction is enough. If you don't have this level of power, it's not effective, it's not controlled, it's not precise, it's not fast, and it's not even adjustable because that's something they don't have. This graphic, you've probably already seen it. On the vertical axis is the power delivered by the instrument, by the tool, and on the horizontal is the time of execution. The purple line is when they work manually. And you know that they can actually do extraction manually by tapping. That's something very common. And that's the power, which is delivered. 40 decanewton. 260 decanewton is what the magnetic mallet delivers on power on force number 4. And actually, if we're using the handpiece plus, which is 30% stronger, we get up to 330. So it's about 9 times stronger than the force that they can apply manually. And how much stronger than the force applied by the autotome? Who knows? They don't declare it. Of course, they don't declare it, because if you're trying to sell the Fiat 500, you're going to try to sell it, highlighting a number of aspects, but for sure not the speed. So you don't want to show what is not expandable. We actually do, because that is what the patent that we have allows to do. It allows to have a lot of force in a fraction of time, which means the impact time is so limited that the patient doesn't feel it. That's the magnetic mallet. A lot of force, but gentle. And we are the only one capable of doing it, because if you don't use the magnetism, there is no way that you go even close to this kind of performance. If you use the electricity, if you power this to electricity, you're probably going to be around here. We did the time some comparison, but it was not on the force, it was on the accelerations, and the acceleration generated by electricity was about 10 times less than the acceleration generated magnetically. I'm not trying to say that even the power is 10 times less, but for sure the gap is not even to compare. So let's go back here. Power. We want to keep it simple and say, doctor, if you're considering to move from drills, elevators, forceps, because of the circumstances, and you want to move to something more advanced, well, do it if you're really taking something that works. Otherwise, you're moving half a step from where you already are, okay? And at the end of the day, you're not going to see any big difference. Unless you go for the magnetic mallet, that's a real technology. That's something really performing, and that is what makes a difference from traditional ways to the advanced technology that we have now. One of the questions might be, okay, I like this magnetic mallet. I know it can do a lot of things. It's more expensive than the autotome, but isn't that going to be overkill? I only need to do extractions, okay? And there is yeah, I can tell there is an idea, general idea on some doctors that, it's just extraction. I don't need much. I just want to avoid to use the drills. I buy the cheaper one. Well, that's a huge mistake, and that's a mistake that they realize once they start to work. Remember this, okay? That was also very common 10 or 15 years ago, because it was just it was like $1,000, and it's $1,000 that the value is almost zero, because there's no difference from this to the manual tools. Now, if they're looking for a device, it's because they know that we're talking about complicated extractions. We're not talking about simple extraction where take a forceps, pull the tooth, the job is done. And what is a complicated extraction? A complicated extraction is, for example, there you go, an impacted third molar, an ankylosed tooth. An ankylosed tooth means that the tooth is merged almost with the bone, and if it's merged, the only way to do it is to start to drill bone away, but we just cannot do it right now because of the COVID-19. Complicated situation if they have they look at the CBCT or the X-ray and they realize that the walls are very thin. It's like, wow, if I'm going to extract this tooth, maybe I'm going to destroy the vestibular wall, and that's going to be a problem. Or maybe it's not a problem, but that's going to result in an extra cost for the patient. Or another situation, as you can see, these are all very common situations. We're not talking about a solution for extreme minimal residual bone. We want them to place an implant after they extract the tooth, and they need bone to place an implant, right? And if I have a minimal residual bone and I'm using drills, and I'm going to be very invasive, probably I won't have enough bone then to place an implant immediately. Okay, you see, post-extraction, zero bone loss procedure is much needed. Well, the magnetic mallet excels exactly on this, because you don't touch the bone, and it's very fast, and you don't risk to crack the bone. And well, I believe that makes a huge difference. Or another situation with complicated extractions, those of you that have been enough time on a surgical room with a dentist, what when you have this divergent multi-rooted teeth? Those are the situations that yeah, you can tell me that you've been doing extraction for 30 years just with a drill and elevator, but we know for sure that when you get these you're going to lose the bone unless you use the magnetic mallet. Or even multiple extraction, if you have to extract 4 or 5 or 6 teeth and you only have your manual tools, that's a long procedure. It might be a long procedure, it might be that the patient says, okay, now stop. How about all of this we solve with a technology that makes them very predictable, very fast, very comfortable for the patient. So if all of that becomes simple, we're no longer talking about overkill. There's nothing overkill if I can get a result for all of these extremely common procedure. Means that they can happen every day, multiple times a day. And most of all, let's not forget that we're talking about a situation where aerosol generators like the drills, the burst, the piezo, are out of questions, or by preference, they should be out of question. So when they suggest you, maybe that's a little bit too much, that's not a little bit too much, it's exactly what you need. Cost gap, because that's why me and Giza, we started to talk. She told me that you reported most of the dentists say, hey, I can get the same thing for much less. So let's see what is this much less, because it's not less. I mean, I would love to be the company that is able to sell for $3,000 a technology that costs probably $200 to produce. Okay, I'm pretty sure I can convert the motor that I have in my drone into an autotome. That technology they're using is a very, 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 very basic, and they're selling it for $3,000. So look at it from this angle. If it was $500, I might say, you know, definitely there is a market, a segment of the market that of dentists that they really cannot or don't want to spend money, and it's $500, whatever. Yeah, that's a fast food versus fine restaurants. You cannot compete. But here we're talking about a solution which goes from 1500, and as it now I'm going to show you, it's now actually 1500 up to 3000, because this is what I took from the Salvin website, and I had hard time. I really had hard time to find this price because it's unclear, but it's unclear for a reason. Because if you get this one, it's just not enough. It's a handpiece with 5 tips, and they're not even offset, which means you're not going to work on the posterior. So that's just the entry level, which is not enough. In fact, what they're actually offering is this. Remember that we're talking about a tool that is, yes, it's for extraction, but the original idea is for the osteotome, so sinus lift, bone shaping, whatever. So it's actually 2400, almost 2500. And then if you add the extraction tips, which again, it's an incomplete kit, it's $3,000. So this configuration is the one that starts to make sense, at least on paper, okay? Because, you know, they start to work on patients and they have enough tools to work. So we're talking about $3,000. Very good. Coach versus first class upgrade buying decision. That's the analogy I picked. And it's a very good analogy, in my opinion, because here's the thing. You see the prices of the magnetic mallet. Now we're going to go over this. So 3900 or 4600 or 5500 is the full configuration. And we are still within the 5,000 investment segment. It's not like one of the option is $1,000 and the other option is 15 grand or 10 grand, like a piezo. That I would understand. We're talking about 2 different levels, and our job is to convince our target to move from this segment, a low segment of investment, to a higher segment. No, guys, we're talking about below 4K actually, because that's what compares to the autotome. And if we extend this investment over the years, magnetic mallet has 5 years warranty first request. That's really no money. So what is the difference between these two options that are both in the same investment segment? Well, it's the same difference that you have between a coach and a first class seat. Let's say that you have to commute every week, from LA to New York City on a red-eye fly, and your coach ticket costs $500, and you know that probably is going to be last row, middle seat. And someone tells you, hey, why don't you just put $100 or $150 on top of that, and every time you're going to fly first class? Well, that's a no-brainer, because yes, there is a little bit more of investment, but the advantages that you have access to, they make a lot of sense, not only in comfort, but also economically, because when you fly first class, then you're going to be more rested, you're going to be more productive next day. It's going to probably also be pleasant experience versus a nightmare. I've been doing that many times, so I'm a witness of that, yeah, especially with American Airlines, but that's another thing. So that's the analogy I decided to use, because here you got a magnetic mallet device with handpiece and 10 different tools for anteriors, for posteriors, for wisdom tooth, for divergent roots, ankylosed tooth, so all complete is 3,900. And then if we want to consider this along with extraction tools and osteotomes, which means they're going to use it even more frequent, it's 4,600. Remember, Salvin is offering 3,000. We're still within that segment of investment, but as we said, as we saw, the huge difference between on effectiveness and reliability of the two technology is very obvious. And then once they buy it, always let's consider the 5 years time, at least the 5 years times. This is a device that they can expand also to, for example, what is it, ridge splitting, so even more use, or they can add later a crown remover. So buying the magnetic mallet, it's not going to limit the use of what they're buying to just a few procedures, done also executed with some difficulties, but it's opening the doors of expanding the use of this aerosol-free and minimal invasive technology to the majority of the procedure they're doing. That's why people is excited about the mallet once they start to use it. So what is $1,500 or $1,500 price difference on an investment decisions when you go from basic to very close to whatever they're doing to a completely new technology that is going to change the way they work? Remember the first class and coach class analogy, because I love it. Now, still, we need to talk about money, okay? So let's consider the amortization of the investment, because the magnetic mallet has the highest amortization factor for a dental office. It's the highest. 5 years of use, there you go. At least 5 years, guaranteed. So for 5 years, whenever there is a problem, if they have a problem, they just call and we replace it. There's no cost due to the tips replacement. You're probably familiar with the piezo, right? When you start to use a piezo and the insert gets broken or wear out, you need to change it, $300 or $400 at a time. Here we have tips that they never replace. So when they talk about money, you need to tell doctor, we're talking about how much money you're spending now or how much money you're going to spend over the time, because it really doesn't compare. And then expandable range of application. Here, just put a few of them: extraction, sinus lift, a different type of sinus lift, ridge splitting, crown removing, bone shaping, bone blocks detachment, bone distractions, implant site preparation. So that's stuff that they do every day, multiple times a day. And we are adding other stuff. We're working to, we were very close to launch new features, but then every company shut down here, and then 6 weeks. Well, hopefully next month we start again. So it's what I told you before. When you buy the mallet, you know that this is going to expand in a modular way. So when you take, that means that you're going to use it every day, and every time you use it, you save money, you save time, you save bone graft, you have more happy patients, you have more predictable procedures. So put together all of that. What's the cost? How minimal is the cost? How easy is to run the amortization of the cost? Or there might be no investment at all because you have a big advantage versus Salvi. You have your own customers using your own implants. And why are you doing this now these days? Because you want to sell more implants, of course. And I know you got nice implant and magnetic mallet packages. So you tell doctor, listen, you don't even need to buy this. I mean, just buy the implants, this package, and you get the mallet for no cost or reduced cost, and that's it. Which is not what you get if you buy just a tool from Salvin. And remember, better extraction means more immediate placement. So why is the magnetic mallet so popular? Because you can place more implants. If the bone, after the extraction, the bone is still there, I say, okay, now I can place an implant, or I can place a wide implant. All right. Now, let's summarize all of that. In short, what is that you want to bring home today, or keep home if you're already home? There is an unrivaled, I don't know how to pronounce this, difference among the two devices, and that's some power. They cannot fight with us when it comes to power. And power available is the reason why they're considering to get something more other than forceps and elevators. So we closed the deal, we closed the fight, we closed the game right there. It's the power. So doctor, why are you considering to move to a technology, an automatic technology, if the effectiveness of this technology is not the center of your decision? You need to get the work done. You need to do this fast. You need to do this comfortable. To get this, you need power, and the magnetic mallet is what has the power, as what has the patent, because of the power that is able to deliver in a such gentle and controlled way. It's a technology versus an adaptation of an electric tool. So stronger, it's faster, it's controlled, it's more precise, and you can adjust. In other words, it's more effective, which is the only reason why I should change my habits. And like I said, the need of effectiveness is the reason why a doctor is looking for an extraction device. It's not that, they just wake up in the morning and saying, maybe I can stop using my forceps. No, they know that extractions might be very complicated. That's what these days, patients are still visiting offices for emergencies, and you don't want to use a drill. Then you need to use a different approach, which is extraction by expansion or ejections or volumetric extraction. They call it in a different way, but that, in order to happen, need power. And the other thing that you want to make very clear, they need a solution for every situation they might deal with. Okay, And I show you before, like the magnetic mallet, the kit that we give is for every kind of solution, even no, in case they have to separate the roof. It doesn't look to me and to anyone, and that's why they're no longer in the market, that the basic kit of the autotome satisfies all those needs. Number one, because there's not enough tools, and number two, because there's not enough power. So autotone works as long as you can still take your drills or burrs or handpiece with a piezo or whatever, in case you don't have enough force. So you complete. It goes most of the time in synergy with other tools. But here we're talking about bringing a solution that is complete. And then when it comes to the money, both options are within the 4K segment. This is something that drives me crazy. I mean, we're not selling something that costs $10,000. I told you before, and I repeat it. I don't want to lose with all these good and strong advantages that I have versus my so-called competition. I don't even have the difficult ground of cost. We're not trying to convince them to spend $10,000 versus $2,000. We're just telling them, hey, a little bit more, you're going from coach to first class. Now, it's about wasting money on a coach class seat versus spending your money to fly comfortably. And they're both in the same arena, but with a huge difference, dramatic difference on technology, effectiveness, application, and endorsement. The magnetic mallet is being used where it really counts, right? So, like I said, at the end of the day, when you use these bullet points, it should be a no-brainer. Okay, it should be a no-brainer because that's exactly what we observed here in Europe. That's why the reason why the autotome at some point was out of the market in the US. And just make sure that you deliver the right input. Because with the right input, I mean, doctors are very sensitive at this moment. They really need to make decisions that are that make sense, that keep their practices open in a safe way. And the magnetic mallet has all the characteristics, features that we need to fulfill that needs. Last slide, soft literature. Soft means that not hard. I don't know if soft literature is the right term, but anyway, you know what I mean. This video animation is the one that probably most of you already know. It's the magnetic mallet surgical video plus animation. It explains it all. It shows why the magnetic mallet. Or if you go on YouTube, we have an OsseoTouch channel, which is new. It's actually where we temporarily park the videos, but there's a number of videos on extraction there. Okay, so you go YouTube, OsseoTouch, enter, and you see all these videos. Or on our website, you choose education and events and then clinical cases, and you find a number of clinical cases, all sort of procedure, but there's a lot of extractions there. And there's a lot of real-time extraction. So you can see doctors removing a third molar drill-free in 3 minutes, or you can see very difficult, complicated situation, and then you see the post-op X-ray and the and pictures, and say, okay, wow, this looks like it was a normal extraction, but we know that we're starting from a very complicated situation. So use all of that, and don't forget the package. It's now the time to tell doctors, okay, doctor, you buy the implants that you need to place, and maybe a little bit more implants, and I'm sure that you're also going to give them some facilities and payment, and you get this, which is the state of the art of what the technology in oral surgery can offer nowadays.